Hello, thank you so much. You are listening to the Power of the Mind podcast. Today's episode is episode 221. I'm hypnotist Jim Kellner, and I am co-hosting once again for my friend, my colleague, the Law of Attraction hypnotist, Victoria Gallagher. She is, of course, the best-selling author of The Practical Law of Attraction. Great book. Align yourself with the manifesting conditions and successfully attract your desires. She's also the founder of Hip Talk and HypnoCloud apps, which gives you access to over 500 hypnosis recordings right in the palm of your hand. So be sure to download the app from the App Store. Hey, Victoria, how are you today?
I am wonderful, wonderful. I've got my app in the palm of my hand too. Don't you love that
Right,
little thing? It's like it's all right there in the palm of your hand.
right there, isn't it? It's like magic. It's like a magical device. It does
It really
everything.
is. Soon there'll be
Crazy.
1,000. One of these days, I mean, we're gonna
Mm-hmm.
have to stop saying 500. I feel like I need to be at 1,000, but I need the time. I need the time to sit
Right.
down, and it's like every day it seems like my schedule, every day, every week it seems like, oh my goodness, I've got 14 things on my schedule this week. It's
And
like, where is it going to be the time to sit down and record?
And unfortunately, that's one of those things you can't outsource because it's got to be your voice. You've got to read, you've got to do it. So, yeah.
There are some things that you just can't outsource, but you have to learn what things you have to be very disciplined about what things you can outsource and just get that out there. And that requires to me like a special kind of focus and discipline to like work on only the things that you want to work on.
I'm close. I interviewed a virtual assistant last week. So
Awesome.
I'm looking forward to maybe that, hoping that comes together.
Yes. Yes. Well, I hope it will come together for you as well.
So today's subject, everybody ready? Drum roll, please. Can you learn? Good. Oh, good. Yes. Can you learn to manifest and attract? So, in other words, is this something we talk about manifesting and law of attraction, all that stuff. Is this something that you're born with, or can it be learned?
Yeah,
Victoria.
that's such a great. Well, I think it's an interesting question. I got this question from one of my TikTok subscribers. So I thought literally yesterday. And so
Mm.
I thought, hey, you know what? If people have this question, I definitely want to answer it. And so yeah, it's just unfortunately for those of you who were not born with this ability, sorry, you have to be born with it. And that's the end of the show.
Yeah, done. All right. Thanks for
Done.
watching.
Right? No. So yeah, it's an interesting question because what that question actually says to me is that people don't really understand what manifesting is or how to attract because everyone can learn or unlearn to stop manifesting what you don't want. They can learn to manifest what they want, and they can also unlearn how to manifest what they don't want. Because the truth of the matter is, learning to manifest isn't necessarily what it is. It is about the fact that we are always manifesting, always. No way, no two ways about it. We're always, sorry, my nose itches. Uh, we're always attracting to us that which we are in alignment with our thoughts, our emotions, our actions, and predisposed to our existing results, the things we've already manifested. Our things we've already manifested are cycling back into what we think and what we believe and what actions we're willing to take. So, yes, the truth is we can learn, but it's not like learning to manifest or learning to attract. We're already manifesting, we're already attracting, but we can learn to observe what we're doing to manifest and attract the things that we are already attracting and manifesting and turn that around and start to create better results for ourselves.
And I'm so glad we're talking about this today because as soon as I saw the topic, I was reminded of a friend from from back in high school. And ever since I knew this guy, he always had money. I
Mm.
mean, 14, and he wasn't a rich family. His family was there, middle class, but he was always attracting money. I mean, whether it was from, birthday money or from lawn mowing, or he'd get some, house sitting thing or something. And I mean, I still know him, and he bought many cars, and I mean, never rich, but always had enough. I don't think he was ever late with a bill. He always had money to cover everything. And I was always very envious, because I was like, how do you do this? It was like a magic power. And so I feel like he somehow was one of those people that somehow it just kind of came to him naturally. Whereas, I've got to work at it,
Mhm.
acquiring I was, as you say, I'm manifesting something, just wasn't manifesting money in the way that I wanted to.
Yeah, it's so true because, I think there are those people who are more naturally gifted with the idea, the mindset. Maybe they grew up in a family that whispered in his ear every night that you're going to be a millionaire and the world's an abundant place. And then other people, grew up in households where they heard things like money is the root of all evils and there's never enough and we can't afford that. And that's probably got to be one of the most disempowering things that anybody ever says to themselves, like when it comes to money, is that that you can't afford it. And quite frankly, that is not even true. Even if it doesn't seem like you can afford something, just the tweak of those words and just removing that can't out of your vocabulary is going to do so much for you on the journey to manifesting. Because if you just were able to now maybe it could be like, right now a yacht is just not in my future at this moment in time. Okay.
Mhm.
But to say I can't afford it is just automatically setting that belief system in stone in my head, because that just tells you that there's like no way, shape, or form that anything is even going to change in my reality that's going to allow that to be a reality or a possibility for me. So there's just so many different things that you could tell yourself. But these seem like innocent enough little statements, but I think that's one of the first places that you really want to begin is to become aware of what it is that you're even telling yourself about that. And you're right. I mean, there are some people that are just like they're already kind of blessed with this positive attitude. I don't think you're going to meet too many people who have a lot of wealth that have a negative mindset when it comes to money. Like they believe that they deserve it. They 100% are like in alignment with, they're okay with being around wealth. They're okay talking about wealth. They're okay, and their minds work in such a way that allows them to to create wealth, or help other or get other people on board that can help them with that. But there's no can't. Like there's no, it's not possible. You may not know exactly how to acquire that thing right now, but somebody else does. And
Mhm.
you may know people that are like two people removed from knowing that person. So even if you don't have the resources right now within your own mind, you can always tap into the resources of somebody who's already done that. And that goes for love, that goes for money, that goes for being a great athlete, that goes for being able to take, pass real estate exams, that goes for, anything. I mean, there success leaves clues, and there's clues on how to manifest or attract anything.
Well, I was just thinking, when you were talking about the yacht, I was, I'm reminded, of people that will say, and I try to stop myself. I maybe say, well, that's not in the budget right now,
Mm-hmm.
or something like
Hmm.
that.
Yeah.
Um, but it's amazing when, like we talked, I think it was last week, we talked about priorities, and it's amazing when your car breaks down, how you suddenly find $500 that you didn't have before, right? Or $1,000.
Yeah. Yeah.
You drop your phone today. I bet you find the money to, within a short amount of time, most of us will find the money somehow. So it's yeah,
Absolutely. Oh my God. That is absolutely so true. And like so many people, like, when it comes to things like, buying a course that's going to help them to create money, or buying subscribing to my app. For God's sakes,
right.
it's $10 a
It's
month,
10
you
bucks.
people. Like, it's going to go up actually after the new release
Oh,
of the app. So it's not going to go up for the existing subscribers. So,
mm,
if anybody, if this is pre the new app, then you definitely want to subscribe because you're going to be grandfathered in. That's my promise. And unless you unsubscribe and then resubscribe again. But I mean,
right.
the app, so it's like, it's not that you can't afford something. It's just simply that you have not made that your priority. It's about allocation. How are you choosing to allocate your money? And, many people choose to allocate their money to Netflix. Well, that's fine. No judgment.
Mhm.
It's just a matter of like, it's not true that you can't afford it. It is true that you have made something else a priority. And that is just the more honest, truthful, integrity way of saying it, and empowering. That's the word I was looking for.
Yeah.
Empowering. I've chosen to allocate my money towards something else. And if you say that, and that's really true for you, I mean, if you say that, look, some people have to allocate their money to daycare. Some
Hmm.
people have to allocate their money to getting, to the crazy gas prices. I'm having to allocate a little bit more money to gas these days. It's
Right. Yeah.
fine, but it's a choice. Okay.
Right.
Every single thing that we do, we could literally stay in bed all day. That's a
Right.
choice. We could stay in bed all day, probably going to lose our job, that,
Right.
because of the choices that we made. But always recognize that every single thing is a choice.
Yeah. So if we're not born, lucky, like, my friend Joe, who just seemed to just was a magnet for money. So where do we begin to learn how to manifest it? Because I wish somebody would have sat me down when I was 14 and told me this, because it would have helped me a lot. He didn't know how to explain it. It just happened for him. He's just, I always have money. I should have started saying that. I always have enough money.
Yeah,
That would have been a good first step.
that would definitely be a good first step. But I think really the very first step is to have a true understanding of what it actually means to attract and what it actually means to manifest, and not the airy fairy thing that a lot of people think that it is, because a lot of people think that manifesting things truly means that if I say to myself, I am a millionaire enough times, that somehow or another you're going to meet with the person who's going to grant that wish and give you $1 million. And that is, I think, so many people's misunderstanding of how the law of attraction and how manifesting actually works. Manifesting, the word just in and of itself, it's a beautiful word, but it sounds so magical, right? When you say
Yeah.
manifest, it's like something is going to manifest out of the thin air, and that's not true. That's just not what it means. So to give you an understanding of what it means, I just want to change the word to, I'm going to set my intention and set the wheels in motion and focus my energies on something that I wish to create that I currently do not have in my existence. And it's about aligning yourself in all the ways, aligning yourself physically, aligning yourself emotionally, aligning yourself spiritually, aligning yourself mentally with all of the conditions that will bring this about, will cause you to meet with the right situation that will bring this to you. And it requires energy on your part. It requires actual physical actions on your part. And that's the part I think a lot of people just do not get. So manifesting, you can manifest a carton of eggs.
Hmm.
You literally can manifest a carton of eggs. And when I say that, that means that you're going to go through the process of thinking, I want eggs. And then that's the first thought. And then that is going to create this like craving inside of you. Like, oh, I'm really, really hungry for those eggs. And then to get to the next level, you're going to get inspired, like, oh, you know what? They have eggs at Fry's. And I could just get in my car. I could just get in my car and I could go to Fry's and I could get those eggs. And the next thing you know, you've done that. And, there's a number of ways that you could manifest that. Like you're either going to get the inspired idea to get in your car and go get them. Maybe you don't have a car. So maybe it's that you get the inspired idea that like, well, Julie, Julie next door neighbor has a car. Maybe she can go get me some eggs.
Yeah.
And literally it could be that simple. Now I know I'm like really dumbing this down, but it's really that simple that you have manifested eggs, right? Like you can't dispute that. You manifested them. You brought something into your reality that wasn't there. You had no eggs in your fridge. Now you have eggs in your fridge, and you're eating them and you're enjoying them. But you will, no matter whether it's eggs or it's a job, your dream job or your dream house or your dream soulmate, it doesn't work any different when it's those things, even though those things seem more unattainable. And that's the thing, is that I think most people, when they think about manifesting something that's unattainable and they don't see the exact way right away, like, it was pretty easy to figure out that you could get in your car and you could go get eggs. Maybe
Eggs.
there's
Yeah.
some people couldn't figure that out. There might be some people that sit in their house, and think, I want eggs, but I can't have eggs because I don't have any in the fridge.
Yeah.
So I can't have them. There's some people that will literally sit in their house and not have eggs because they can't figure out that they could just get in their car and go to the grocery store and have them. I mean, it seems like a pretty logical, reasonable thing to do, but there's a little block to that. And it's the same thing, like somebody who's like a millionaire, a multimillionaire, could look down on, I don't mean down, but look upon somebody who has a business, and that business is only making, 10,000, 20,000 a month, and they want to be a millionaire, but they can't figure it out. And that person has all the answers. Like they know exactly what you could do to turn your business into a rockin' multi-million-dollar business. I actually interviewed somebody last couple weeks ago on the show that knows how to do that. And she charges a hefty amount of money to do that, but she knows how to do that. She can look at any business and turn that business into a multi-million-dollar business. Right?
Well,
she knows how to do it the same way that you and I know that we can go into our fridge but how do you manifest that? Well, so you manifest by like, okay, I want to become a millionaire. I want to create a multi-million-dollar business. I don't know how to do that, but now the universe has presented you with a way. Oh, here's somebody who knows how to do that. Are you going to take action on that? Are you going to take action on that? Or are you going to ignore that?
Yeah, this reminds me. I mean, that's kind of what Shark Tank is all about, right? I mean, it's not just about the money that they invest, but you're getting their expertise. They've been
Mhm.
successful, so they're going to share that success with you. When you were talking about the eggs, I was thinking, if I really needed some eggs and I just put it out on Facebook and said, "Man, I really need a dozen eggs," I'll bet by the end of the day I would have a dozen eggs at my house. And that's just a small kind of a thing. And I don't think we should be out there begging for money. But I mean, if you were trying to, manifest like something like money or something, and you just put it out there, I mean, who's got ideas on how I could make more money? I mean, there's going to be a lot of people that are going to share their different options, but there's going to be something good in there, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And it sort of reminded me of what you were saying before about there's somebody that knows whatever it is that you want, somebody knows how to get it. And so if you ask enough people, you're sure to find it somewhere.
Yeah, absolutely. And just another thing, this is sort of where I meant to be going when you said, if you needed 500 for the car repairs,
Yeah.
one of the things that I say, because like in my all of the stuff that I do, my books, it teaches you how to manifest things.
Yeah.
My seminar teaches you how to manifest things. Like the sky is the limit. You could manifest anything. Like if you don't buy my book or you don't invest in my courses or you don't you're not thinking big enough because you're letting like $20, $10, whatever get in your way, thinking like, oh, that I'm spending $20. No, what you're doing is you're investing in a process that could help you learn how to manifest anything, including the $20 back that you spent on the book. So you're not thinking big enough if you think that those
Right.
things are expensive. But that wasn't even my point. The point is like if um if there was a winning lottery ticket, if there was a winning lottery ticket, and let's just say you're in California and the winning lottery ticket is sitting in this safe that you have the combination to in New York, and but you have to pay somebody, well, let's just say you have to pay somebody $10,000 to open that safe, but you're guaranteed that there is a lottery ticket that is worth millions of dollars in there, that like it's guaranteed. Are you going to figure out how to come up with $10,000?
Right.
And
Yeah.
like and that's the thing is like it's about perspective. Like if you think about spending $10,000 but you're not really sure if what you're spending that on is going to do anything for you, then you might hesitate to do that. But most people, I don't care how unresourceful you've been all your life, if there was a chance to trade in $10,000 for multi-millions of dollars, you'd figure it out.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So
You'd
what's
come
some
up with all kinds of ideas. They'd just come to you.
so I'm guessing this all starts in the mind, right? We got to start focusing. Is that what we got to do?
Ultimately, it does. It all really starts in the mind. We talked a lot about that in our last podcast about how the mind ultimately is, where we form all of our perceptions, all of our, it just all starts there. You get a thought, and and it depends on what thought do you want to be thinking, because so many times we're thinking thoughts we don't even really want to be thinking. We're just
Sure.
thinking them on autopilot. They're just coming. We're not even aware of the vast majority of the thoughts that we're having are just coming to us automatically. Like 90% of our thoughts are coming to us. The same thoughts we thought 5 years ago and yesterday, over and over and over, just thinking the same thoughts over and over and expecting everything to be different. And the thing is that we have to start a new thought process. We have to plant the seed in our mind for whatever it is that we do want. So many people are thinking about what they don't want, but we have to start there and flip that into what do we want? This is probably like one of the number one things that I do in my coaching is I listen to
Mhm.
people's
Yeah.
vocabulary, and it's amazing. I mean, they've read my book, they've done my classes, and they're still talking with the same. I mean, they're a little bit more aware of it, and they're aware of like when I catch them. But it's like we've got so much unraveling to do with our mindset, that like I'm trying to think of the words that people are using, but it's just like, oh, instead of thinking about this, well, I want to think about like, well, I'm not going to pick up the phone when they call. Okay. That's a not, and that's like putting the idea in your head of exactly what you don't want to be doing. Right. Same thing as like I don't want to think about a purple elephant. Well, don't think, if
Mm.
I tell you don't think about a purple elephant, what are you thinking about? You cannot get the idea of thinking about a purple elephant out of your mind.
Right.
So you have to, then that's like sometimes it's the only way it really makes sense for people to understand how they are creating what they don't want much more often than creating what they do want. So what do you want? Oh, I want to think about a pink zebra. A pink zebra. Okay. So now you're thinking about what you do want. And we really have to, it all really starts there with that basic, getting control over and catching yourself constantly. It's a process. Like, because we've been trained to think in ways that are counter to manifesting what we want. We're constantly manifesting what we don't want because of how we're thinking.
Yeah. Well, it's that whole pleasure and pain thing, right? We do more to avoid pain than to gain pleasure. I think so, because it does seem like the default is to, well, this is what I don't want. I don't want to be fat anymore. I don't want to lay on my couch anymore. I don't want to eat Twinkies. Okay, but what would you rather eat? What would you
Hmm.
rather do?
Yeah.
It's like a default setting for so many people. No wonder we're all kind of trapped in that place of manifesting, what we don't want.
Yeah. I mean, if I'm on a diet and I just keep thinking, okay, I gotta avoid having chocolate cake today. No
Right.
matter what I do, I cannot have chocolate cake. I mean, I know that chocolate cake was so good, but it's just not on my diet anymore and I can't have it. And I'm going to refrain from having that luscious, delicious chocolate cake no matter what I do. Even though that frosting was so good, I'm just not going to have it anymore. And by the end of the day, guess what you're going to be eating?
Yeah. So
And
true.
instead of that, we want to think, okay, what would be the thing that is going to help us to achieve our goal? Well, it's, maybe for you, and, there's so many different diets that I'm going to offend somebody, but, um, having an apple
Hmm.
instead, so this is what
Yeah.
I want to think about. And, I bet that you could get yourself worked up just as easily for something that is healthy for you,
Mm.
in the same frenzy that you can create for the chocolate cake, you can create that over celery or over an apple or over um, water, whatever it is. You can just change your perception about that. It's like, oh, it's just when I bite into that apple and all the juices squirt out, and it just is so appealing and appetizing, and it fills me up, and it just makes me feel so good when I eat apples. And it's just like, love the sound of that crunch. And, so you can just represent something else to yourself in an appetizing way. And that can be true for any kind of thought, not just on, your diet stuff, but any kind of thought. And so you want to start to entertain thoughts that are going to be more conducive toward your goal. And, I have to do this, even though I teach this for a living. I mean, there are things on my, manifestation list because, we're all working and manifesting something. I haven't stopped yet.
Yeah.
Obviously, like right now, I'm manifesting, having this app. Now, here's the conversation that I have to go through in my head constantly. It's like, the designers will present me with something. It's not exactly what
Mm.
I was hoping for. And so I have these thoughts like, oh, um, they're not giving me what I want. And I'm afraid that, I don't want I don't want this to look boring. I don't want this to look all dim and faded and muted and blah, 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 like I'm thinking about what I don't want. And so I have to switch that around and I have to say, these guys have to produce the result for me that that I want. They will produce the result that I want. I just, eventually it's going to, and I write down in my journal. I'm still doing my it works, and it's, you know th- I'm going to see, I'm going to see something gorgeous and stunning and beautiful, and I have to like get myself to say these words instead of
Mhm.
like focus. And we all have to do that. I'm sure you go through your day
Mhm.
having that little back and forth discussions like, nope. You got to
Yeah.
pattern interrupt that. Nope, I'm not going to think that today. I'm going to think this instead, right?
Yeah. Well, you talk about the food thing, and that's something that I came up with a slogan recently that's you'll never regret. I always said you'll never regret a workout. If you're trying to decide, you'll never regret a healthy meal. You'll never regret having that apple. You know, it may not satisfy your sweet tooth for that chocolate cake, but you at least won't regret it. So it's a good place to start.
Yeah.
So, and I think that holds true for so many things. And for me, it's thinking about that next thing. How am I going to feel after? If I'm even if we take it to the other stuff, what else I'm trying to manifest? If I go spend all my money on this thing, how am I going to feel afterwards? Yeah, it's going to be great to have that thing, but would it have been better spent on something else that's not as fun right now, but it's going to help me in the future? So I think that makes a lot of sense.
Well, and you really hit on something there that's so perfect when it comes to manifesting. And the next thing is like, how are you going to feel
Mhm.
once you have manifested this thing? And so the thoughts ultimately can help you to really, if you elaborate enough on it, it's going to cause you to feel a certain way. And that goes for positive or negative. If you continue allowing yourself to think in the negative ways, it's like, oh, this just isn't working. I don't know if this is going to work out. I just keep trying. And, I keep trying and it's not working and blah, blah, blah. Well, how's that going to make you feel? And then eventually you're going to give in to that. I guess it just wasn't meant to be. And that's where people fail. That's why people don't manifest what they want, because they talk themselves out of it. People talk themselves out of it all the time. You've got to be constantly talking yourself into it. And when
Mhm.
you're constantly talking yourself into it, it's going to change the way you feel. It's going to cause you to feel inspired. It's going to cause you to feel grateful. It's going to cause you to feel positive. It's going to cause you to be hopeful, optimistic, all those feelings. And when you can feel that way, then that's just enough fuel to keep you going and having you take actions. And and there's just always something else that maybe you didn't think about or that you didn't do. And there's never a time, like literally, you can't fail at this because the truth of the matter is like you only fail when you choose to fail and give up. So you can manifest anything as long as you stay the course and continue to train your mind to focus on what you want, and giving you the feeling and changing your belief. And as you do that, you're gonna start to get ideas. Ideas are gonna percolate within you. And I don't know where, whether they come from your subconscious mind, whether they come from the great super conscious that we talked about a few, weeks ago. But those ideas are going to come to you, and you're going to be compelled to take action on them, or you won't. And if you choose not to, well, another idea will come to you. But if you keep choosing to ignore them, then guess what? They're going to come fewer and further between. So
I know you've talked about this before, and it's in your book, because I've read the book. There's so that we've got our thoughts, our feelings. What are the other steps that we need to do to start manifesting, intentionally?
yeah, that's a really good question. So there are 8 manifesting conditions that I talk about in my book. And there's even beyond that. There's the 8 manifesting conditions. And then I also have like the 16 qualities, which I
Mm.
rarely ever dive into. We do talk about that a little bit in my manifesting mastermind. We talk about these qualities because I think also just aligning yourself with the type of person that you need to become
Mm.
is a great way to help you, to manifest. I mean, having the right attitude, obviously, having charisma, having focus, having discipline, having optimism, all those, the motivation. There's 16 of them. I can't really get to all of those, but getting back to the 8 manifesting conditions, it starts with having the desire. That's where I believe the root of everything starts. You have the desire. And I also, let me just back up. When I say it starts there, it's more like um it's more like which came first, the chicken or the egg. Something else could have happened before that desire. Maybe from where you are right now, the things that you've already manifested, or bad things, good things can create that desire. So it's not necessarily that they all happen 1, 2, 3, 4 in order.
Mm.
But I usually start people with thinking about the desire. So that's condition number 1, is desire.
Mm.
The next condition we talked about is our thoughts. The next condition is our imagination. So we access the imagination through visualizing, and that's, I believe, the imagination is like, it's such a key, because if we can imagine ourselves with these things, then that's really a way that we're speaking to the subconscious mind, and telling the subconscious mind, yeah, this is what I want. And it's like a two-way communication system, I believe, with the imagination. So we put in information through the imagination, but we also receive information from our imagination. So that, being in alignment with your imagination and visualizing what you do want. Like if I keep seeing that dim, faded, lifeless looking screen, I'm just gonna
We stuck with it.
be stuck with that. I'm gonna, like, but I just keep telling them vibrant, beautiful,
Yeah.
and eventually, here's the Pinterest board with all the all the, the beautiful highlighted contrast, whatever, what I mean?
Yeah.
These are the words, it's like, I don't want to think about that anymore. But I have to see that in my mind. I have to see how I ultimately want that to look. And I have to imagine myself on Thursday morning, like having the meeting and going like, oh, yes, this is what I wanted. I have to be in that state, and put myself there, and that will manifest it. That's gonna, let's just get into the whole ethers conversation. I mean, that is gonna send that emotion through the ethers. But if I'm like expecting, and I, it to kind of not be on board with what I want, then, then I can pretty much expect that. Right. And so that does kind of get into the whole belief. So that's condition number 4 is belief expectancy. And you have to expect what you want. Generally, we get what we expect. Generally, we get whatever we really expect. Not just this artificial super expect, like I expect you to be on time when you know that that person's not going to be on time. Like
Mm,
that's not what I'm talking about when I say expect, like,
yeah.
or expecting the best. I mean, like, what do you really expect is going to happen? Like, what do you like? If I was going to pay you $1 million for like your expectation, like, what do you really, really expect? So expectation, belief, and then that's going to create the feeling, the vibration. We've got to make sure that our vibration is positive, uplifted, high energy, and ultimately that's going to create the number 6, the inspired, not the creative attraction. So the creative attraction to me is like where everything kind of gets formed. And that's where like everything that you just put into the pot, mix it up, and it's creating from your recipe of your desire, your thoughts, your imagination, your belief, your feeling of vibration. Now it's forming into something at the level of creative attraction, which maybe out there in the super conscious realm. And from that you're going to get inspiration, you're going to get ideas, you're going to get the impulse to like, oh, I need to do that, I need to call that person, I need to send out this email, I need to, for whatever reason, I just feel like going there, moving there, buying that house, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And you're going to get the impulse to act on that. And when you get the impulse to act on it, then you take number 7, inspired action. Inspired action, not forced action, but inspired action. And the inspired action is like, yeah, you just feel it. Like you feel like, yes, this is right. You're not having to trudge through and make something happen, but you're just like, this is what I want to do. This is fun. And and this is one of the things I think where a lot of people get taking action also wrong. It doesn't have to be like something you don't want to do. Like don't ever do something that you don't really want to do, like in order to create an outcome. Don't go, if you're a female looking for your soulmate, don't go watch sporting events if you don't like sports just because you think that men are going to be there, right? Because ultimately you're setting yourself up for a life of having somebody that likes sports. And or if you don't work for money, like don't get into this business because there's a lot of money to be made in that business. Well, ultimately you're going to grow to resent what you're having to do. It's just not going to feel good, because it's not, but ultimately money will come if you do something that you are inspired to do. It shouldn't feel like work. It will come if you feel like inspired whenever you do that. So that's number 7. I know I could just talk about this whole thing. Like literally, I'm always like rewriting my book or saying it whenever I answer this question. But then number 8, and this is the manifestation. So how do you act on the manifestation? Well, you act on like knowing that the universe is sending you signs. You see the progress that's being made. You acknowledge the progress. You look for any reason to believe that this is this is coming to fruition, and you acknowledge it, and because every little piece of it is a little manifestation in and of itself. It's all just a little pieces of the whole hologram. Your whole manifestation that you're manifesting is a hologram, and it's being delivered to you, maybe all at once, maybe just little bit at a time. But notice the things that are happening and be grateful for those things. Gratitude is just like such a high level of vibration and emotion. It really just makes everything work. And then the whole cycle starts again from the manifestation. You'll have a new desire and you'll have a new thought. And, you don't ever stop. It never, ever stops. You don't ever stop being challenged by this, because to me, this whole law of attraction and manifestation is designed for you to become a better person, to become the person who's in alignment with the positive life that you want.
I like the way you say that, because one of my mom's favorite, I think we talked about this before. One of my mom's favorite things to say was just be yourself. And we hear that all the time. And I think maybe if you're just going to be yourself, you're just going to keep getting what you're getting, because that's who you are. So you got to do something different. So how long is it going to take me to manifest?
I
I want
know
it now. I want it
that's the
now.
question on everyone's mind.
I want
How long?
my manifest microwave.
Right? Yes. Yeah. Put it in I love that. The manifest microwave. So in my definition, I say that it takes as long as it takes for for you to be totally in alignment with all 8 of those manifesting conditions. So there's a lot that you can really use to gauge, because it's not a cut and dry, like I can't say like, oh, manifestation, happens in seconds, or manifestation happens in days or months even, or years. It happens depending on like how far apart you are from having it, what it is, like how big it is, how big it is compared to what you already believe your manifesting abilities are. Most of the time though, when people start manifesting, when they start on this journey of manifesting, they haven't even, it's kind of like you haven't even been to the gym. You haven't even been to the gym
Right.
to start working out. And so you get to the gym and you start running, at a pace that is way too fast for you on the treadmill, and you fall down and you injure yourself, and then you come home and you're like, well, the gym's not for me, and it doesn't work. It
Yeah.
it doesn't work. I got my butt kicked. And right. So I mean, I think this is like a perfect analogy for how manifesting works. Like, how far is your body away? If you are 300 pounds and you want to weigh 200 pounds, it's not like you're going to wake up and be 200 pounds. You're going to, there are the laws of physics that we have to work within. And so we've got to get your body moving toward the, 200-pound body. And it's the same thing with your manifestations. Like if you have only ever earned $10,000 a year, that's your income. And you're saying, I'm going to manifest $1 million this year. And you've never been to the gym, i.e., you've never even begun to figure out how to think productively, how to think toward that, how to use your imagination properly, how to take any kind of inspired action toward that. If you've never done any of these things before, you're starting from elementary school and you got to work your way toward that. So it's not a cut and dry answer that, it's different for everyone. It just depends on how far apart you are from where you are now and what you really want to manifest. It also depends on how much you're really interested in pursuing pursuing it. How committed are you? How much do you actually believe that you really can change your reality and change your life? All of those things are a factor in how long it takes for you to manifest. How long does it take to learn to manifest? I mean, you can learn this if you have the desire. You can learn it by simply reading the contents of my book, doing all of the homework assignments that are in there, applying that, actually, not just doing the work, the homework just for the sake of doing it, but actually, applying it to a very specific aim that you're working on in your life. So the thing is like you have to come from a point of view that everything is possible, and it is. Like I can't even think of one thing that somebody could come to me and I can't ask them enough questions to figure out how this could be possible for them.
Mhm.
And a part of it, we do a little I do a thing at my seminar, and it's wild. But I ask people to come up with 100 ways that their idea could manifest.
Mm.
And, it really speaks to the power of a person's imagination. And these are not necessarily legitimate ways. These are made up ways purely for your own entertainment and enjoyment, just to use the power of your mind to tap into and exercise the imagination. And I will tell you, like, I literally I give a time limit for this. I'm like, when you go home tonight, I want you to spend no more than 20 minutes on this. No more than 20 minutes on this. And they will come back and they will say, I was only able to come up with 49 and I spent an hour on it.
Mm.
And it speaks to how much we exercise our imagination. You want to spitfire these out so quickly because all it is just to wake up the genie inside of your brain that knows how to get stuff done. It's just an exercise. Has no basis in reality. Maybe one or two of those things on that list may be possible for that to be the way that it comes, but it's an exercise in creativity, and that's all it is. And so we have to, I think, the more creative we are, you wake up that creative spirit within, the more creative you are, the easier and the more quickly, and that's like tapping into your childlike self. That if children are great manifestors. They know how to get things done. Some of them are just not old enough. They don't have credit cards. They can't walk around. They can't drive around. They can't use the phone. If they could, if they could actually have all of the resources, they could get things done much easier than adults can, because they're not stopped by the limits of our imagination, which has been stifled throughout all of our decades that we've been on this earth. So everything is possible. It's just a matter of, are we using our imagination to its fullest? And unfortunately, most of us are not.
Wow. So I know you've worked with a lot of people. Do you see other things that are like what's a big thing that gets in their way?
I'd say, oh, this was, yeah, a huge one. I say probably one of the biggest things, and I was about to say this earlier, but I think one of the
Hmm.
biggest things is that when people come to the law of attraction, they come to it out of desperation. They
Mm.
come to it because they're in pain at some level in their life. They're unsatisfied, they're unfulfilled, and they want something. And they not only want that thing, but they need that thing. They not only need that thing, but they
Mm.
are desperate to have that
Gotcha.
thing, and they cling to that thing. And so they become attached to having that thing.
Mm.
And that to me is probably one of the most detrimental things, because law of attraction, again, it's like it's matching your vibration. So
Mhm.
if you're putting out the vibration of need and lack and want, then the law of attraction is going to match that vibration of the need and the lack and the want. If you're angry about having it, if you're frustrated about having it, it's just going to give you more things to feel angry about. It's going to give you more things to feel frustrated about. But if you are coming from it like, totally unattached, like, wouldn't this be great? Wouldn't it just be great to have this? And won't that be wonderful when, and you don't need it, but you're coming to it from a place of inspiration. Guess what? You're going to attract more things that are on that wavelength of inspiration and things that are coming on the wavelength of, wouldn't it be so nice to have, and like life just, works for me, and abundant, and gratitude, more things to feel abundant and gratitude for. So we got to let go of attachment, and we got to let go. And attachment can also look like being attached to how something is going to come about, because sometimes we never ever really know exactly how something is going to come about. Sometimes we do, but most of the time we don't. And most of the time when things are seeming like they're not happening, or they're falling apart, well, it's still like the seed needs a little while to germinate, and the seed needs a little while to grow before it turns into something that you can actually see. And then sometimes there's detours along the way in your progress that, like, you can't just stop there and say, like, this is the only way to get there. No, it's not the only way to get there. There are, this is hence the 100 ways. There's millions of ways that you could get there. You just have to be willing to let go of how you thought it was going to happen, and say, okay, there's got to be another way to make, that this is going to work. And I'm open to it. So, let go of the attachment, the timing, I think gets in people's way too. That whole question about how long is it going to take, even just coming from how long is it going to take is attached, because you're like attached to how long is it going to take.
Mhm.
And, if it's important enough, doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter how long it's going to take.
Yeah. It's funny, you were saying something about the, kind of the baby steps thing. And I was thinking, maybe instead of trying to manifest my yacht, I should manifest a rowboat first, right?
Yeah. Yes, exactly. That was the whole point of that, was just, starting with something a little bit more conceivable, starting with, like just like just managing your emotions, is a great way to start being able to like manifest new thinking. Manifesting the states that you want to feel are a great place to start. Like, for today, I'm just going to feel pleasantly surprised all day. And then you'll manifest reasons to feel pleasantly surprised. And, just kind of almost like meaningless things. You could even start with like literally things that you have not assigned any meaning to whatsoever. Maybe it's a certain kind of animal that you say, I'm going to see one of these today. And you may not even go out in nature and see one of these animals. Maybe you just see it on a commercial, or you come across an app and it's like, oh my god, there's that animal. I did manifest that, whatever it is. You put like you just give yourself like little things to think about. And all it really is doing is, like, all these things are always all around us. We just don't necessarily focus on them, but there's so much going on that we're not aware of, that if we just say, I'm going to see, it's kind of like the car game. Like when they're looking for red cars, you're going to see a lot more red cars, and you're going to see blue cars, and vice versa. So just changing your focus to what you want to see versus what like having your focus on that, and starting small, and working your way up to the bigger things once you get good at it, is definitely the best place to start.
Well, thank you. I think that gave us a lot to think about while we wait for the next episode, start manifesting something.
Yes, definitely. Definitely. So what are you going to manifest between now and the next episode?
Funny you said, I was thinking of a quarter I'm going to find on the ground and a blue dragonfly. That's what I'm.
Ooh,
Okay.
I love it. I love it. Well, I'm going to manifest some gorgeous screens.
Oh.
Yes, I think we're
Awesome.
getting there.
Vibrant and colorful ones.
Vibrant, lively, and minimalist, but still
Awesome.
Yes, awesome looking screen. So I will report the news back to you all when we meet again.
Sounds good.
All right. All right. Well, thank you so much for being my wonderful co-host today. And thank you, listeners, for tuning in again to the Power of Your Mind podcast. Please, be sure to leave us a review. Let us know how you like the show. Send me an email. Go to my website, victoriamgallagher.com. And definitely follow Jim. Jim has some amazing content on TikTok and Instagram. What's your TikTok and your Instagram, by the way?
Both of them are at Jim Kellner Hypnotist.
At Jim Kellner Hypnotist. At meaning like the and,
At
like
sign,
that,
yeah,
that
ampersand
at
thing,
sign.
yeah, the at sign,
And
at sign,
Jim
not ampersand.
Kellner Hypnotist. And I'm the LOA Hypnotist on TikTok. So follow me there as well. And we will see you next time.